it's a reminder, and it has been suggested on many occasions, that the characters, in fact all elements of every story, are aspects of our self. So there's that story about the great calligrapher Ah Huang. Now, he loved to paint these broad landscapes of the environment in which he lived. But he was a taciturn man, somewhat of a recluse, and in fact he was rather prone to fits of melancholy, or depression, you might call it. Sometimes a dark cloud would come towards him and envelop him, and he'd fight with all his might to bring back the colours that he used to paint his landscapes, to bring back a place of equanimity, so to speak, in his life. But one day, when Ah Huang had finished painting one of these vistas, he was sitting beside a rock, when all of a sudden, in the distance, he saw a mist developing. And as he watched, the mist got thicker and thicker and became a dark cloud. But strangely, unlike on previous occasions, when he'd tried to draw up within himself a means of keeping it at bay, he found himself silently watching as this cloud got thicker and thicker and darker, until it enveloped him completely. But then a very strange thing happened. Within the blackness of what he'd always thought was a state of deep melancholy, sadness, he saw a great dragon, its wings outspread, magnificent. In fact, it had glimmering shells, scales on its back, unlike any of the colours that he used in his landscape paintings. And as the dragon grew clearer and clearer in his sight, he saw it in its mouth, a gift which was laid at his feet. And then, who knows how long a time it was that passed, but the cloud was gone. But there, at the feet of Ah Huang, was a paint brush. A brush such as he'd never seen before. He didn't know of what elements it was made, but when he picked it up, it was very real. He couldn't wait to use it on one of his canvases. And strangely, from that time on, whenever he painted a landscape, it seemed to have a life that was not there before. Now Ah Huang, being a taciturn man, did not show his emotions, and it seems this is why he only loved to paint landscapes, vistas of life. But then, one day there was a retainer of one of the lords come by and see our Huang painting. And when the retainer looked at the painting, he said, "Oh, this my master would love to see. Can I bring him to your house?" And so our Huang agreed. And when the Lord came to see the array of paintings, scrolls that our Huang had produced, he said to our Huang, "You must come to my house and paint for me. I have no time to go out into nature, so you can bring nature to my abode." So our Huang agreed, and he too became a retainer of the Lord. He painted the landscapes that were hung as scrolls and canvases around the abode of the Lord, and the Lord basked in the wonder of finding nature in his house. But then our Huang was growing old, and he wondered, to who could he pass this magic paintbrush? And then one day, when our Huang was walking along the beach, he saw a young boy, ragged, in tatters and rags, seemingly dragging a stick in the sand. But when he grew closer, he could see that the boy was drawing in the sand. And the drawing that he created was full of something that our Huang knew that he himself did not have. It showed emotion, something that our Huang himself was not privy to. And so our Huang knew that this was the one to whom he could pass his magic paintbrush. So he went to the boy and he asked him, "Would you like to learn to paint?" Young boy said, "Oh, yes, I would love to learn to paint, but I have no brushes and no canvas." "Never mind," said our Huang, "I will bring them. Come here in a number of days and we will begin." So our Huang came to the young boy who was called A Liang and began to teach him the ways of art, how to wield his brush. And then one day our Huang brought his magic brush wrapped in a piece of silk and said to A Liang, "Here is a gift for you. Use it well." When A Liang opened the silken cover and took out the brush, he immediately put it to paper. But instead of being a painting of life, suddenly the painting had life. Even our Huang was greatly surprised. Here, his gift had the ability to bring life's drawings to life. A Huang said, "You must guard this gift well." But then one day, one of the villagers was passing by when A Liang was drawing, and suddenly the animal that he had drawn rose up from the paper, alive, a living creature. The villager could not believe his eyes, and when he went back to the village, he began to tell people of the wonder that he had seen. And then it began to happen. One of the villagers whose oxen had died and was the mainstay of his life came to A Liang and begged him, "Please, will you draw me an oxen? Otherwise my family will die of starvation." So A Liang drew, and the animal came to life. From that time on, people who were in need from the village came to A Liang to receive that which was needed to give their life worthiness. But then, of course, as these things go, the word got around and came to the governor of the province in which the village was located, a greedy man who, thinking that if he could have this power, he could have anything he wanted. So he sent a messenger to A Huang and A Liang to come to his palace. A Liang and A Huang could not refuse. But when they were before the governor, who was inside himself, congratulating himself already for the gift that he was about to receive, demanded that A Liang paint him a dragon that could fulfill all his wishes. But A Liang said, "This gift is only used to aid the well-being of others, not for gain." The governor grew very angry and said, "I will make you draw this dragon." And so he had his guards take A Huang and put a knife to his throat and said, "If you do not paint this dragon, the throat of your teacher will be slit." So A Liang, taking up his paintbrush, began to paint the dragon. And as the dragon formed, this fierce, magnificent creature, and when it was completed, suddenly there was a sound of roaring movement as the canvas came to life as a great and fearsome dragon. But as the dragon drew to its full height, smoke began to emanate from its mouth, followed by the flames that only a dragon can emanate, and suddenly the drapes around the room of the governor's palace were alight. Soon the whole building began to arise in flames. A Huang and A Liang feared for their lives, but suddenly the great dragon, taking each of them in its claws, rose up above the flaming palace and flew off to safety. A Huang and A Liang were never seen in their village again, but word came back to them from afar that A Huang and A Liang were using the magic paintbrush to bring alleviation, relief to those in need in far-off places. Recognizing, feeling, knowing that not only every character, every element of stories is a part of ourselves, can we not recognize that every character and every element of life is also part of ourselves? When we do, we cannot but recognize the power of what our paintbrush represents. Honor it. Use it well. Is it not the dragon? Have you claimed your paintbrush? Do you still fight that which holds the gift of that paintbrush? That which we've fought, resisted, seeing it as darkness, a void, a frightening thing. Only to be seen and claimed when all of mind has come to rest. No resistance. No fear.